Have you ever had a dream, an aspiration, ambition, something you'd really love to achieve, but so far it's eluded you? The barrier is normally a blend of lack of self-belief, fear, imposter syndrome. It's these thoughts that stop people before they ever get started. But what if we could remove these barriers? What if we could dismantle these mental blocks? If we could do that, there's a very good chance that we could change some lives. This is our mission. Over the course of 90 days, we're going to help amazing people to take on their biggest, hairiest, scariest goals. Are you thinking what I'm thinking? This is mental. The journey through any epic challenge often follows the same path. We need to go from nothing to something, and from something to something better. Often the scariest step is the first. So, what are your thoughts about what you could put into these presentations?
Certainly from the cardiac side of things, the data, and that could be on loss of life against recovery. A lot of people don't know these statistics, Simon, do they?
That's true.
And I think that it will grab people's attention.
Yeah, certainly when you shared them with me, I was shocked.
Yeah.
I often think about, what do we want them to go away knowing, doing, thinking, asking and feeling?
Right. So we want people to be aware that, every person who's walking around on the streets, children included, have the potential of a heart attack.
Yeah.
And that awareness is not there.
Yeah. So at David Lloyd's, we sat down and tried to put some structure to Nick's thoughts, his method, his content, to create what I call a logical narrative, a really easy way for him to understand and present this material, but also for his audience to absorb it. Not only to share it in a logical way, but to create an emotional journey for them as well, to bring them through the highs and lows that he's experienced, to help them understand the emotional dimension of this and to feel some of that. So in terms of questions that you might want to ask, would one of them be not how fit are you, but how close to being in my position are you? Because I expect those people who are sitting in an audience thinking, I have no idea. Yeah. I could be millimetres away.
Yeah.
And that's a bit of a wake-up call.
Absolutely.
It's likely to inspire the kind of action that we're talking about.
Yeah.
Within this, you were talking about, you're aware it could become a bit of a dark subject.
Yeah.
That you wanted to put some humour into it, some light-hearted elements into it. Which elements of your story, actually, when you look back, do make you giggle?
In the hospital, towards the back end of my release, I was fortunate to be in a ward with a similar-minded gentleman, and the nurses were absolutely fantastic, as you well expect. But there was a few students there, and the one girl, I was listening to what she was saying. There was somebody who was struggling, I think, in the ward down below. And she said to the student, she said, just let it go. Well, at that moment, I jumped out of bed and I started singing Frozen. And unfortunately, the three of us got reprimanded by the nurses. You can't behave like that. Look at your heart rate. Well, it was a light-hearted moment. We were all in a fairly serious situation, and I think we helped each other in terms of getting through what was a serious point, Simon.
And actually, the wider point that goes with that is you do have to remember to live.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Whilst you do need to be sensible, if you stop living, then what's the point in living?
We were in a ward. We couldn't go anywhere. We were all tubed up. So the humour was there. And I've got to say, it's a fantastic uplifter. Really is.
Yeah.
I think we discussed a bit of trying to take people on a bit of a roller coaster ride here. The topic, because it's emotive, there also needs to be a little bit of humour, if we can say that, but also put them into a real situation so they can understand that they will have issues of some sort, maybe hopefully not to my extent, but they can understand the severity of those highs and lows.
I was thinking about all of this and driving up here, thinking about the kind of note that you could leave it on. I remember you saying that you feel really lucky.
Yeah.
My friend Dino, sort of, as I describe him, millimetres away from you, the other side of that invisible white line. He didn't have the heart attack, but he could have.
Yeah.
He also describes himself as being lucky.
Yeah.
So I wanted to run an idea past you, to leave this on almost like an opportunity to make your own luck.
Yeah.
We were lucky.
Yeah.
You could be too.
Yeah.
But you have to make your own luck.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's absolutely, Simon.
And yeah, that being maybe a way to cap off and pull this together when we start looking at where we go with it. We talked about building these little steps along the staircase, and that having a local group, having one that you know, was a really good first step. You've been talking to a couple of groups, and this opportunity arose with Harrogate Swimming Club. Interestingly, he had less than 24 hours to prepare for this. And I thought that's going to be a really interesting challenge. He also knew that he had a little piece that he could do on poolside and a piece to do up in a meeting room with parents and swimmers. But I don't really think he had a very clear brief about what that looked like, the kind of facilities he had, the kind of audience he had, the kind of time frame he had. I think all of that presented him with another layer of challenge.
We're just going to have a 5-minute conversation with this guy stood right here. Some of you might recognise him. He swam in the last championships 2 weeks ago. This guy is literally a living legend, and he'll tell you why. So I'm going to introduce you to Nick Parks. He's going to give a little bit of a chat about his journey over the last few years, and then he's going to be doing a bit of a drop-in for anyone that wants to hear a bit more about it in the studio up there. And we've also got one of the mums who's kindly given up her time, Kate Sharp. She's going to be giving a demonstration, CPR, defib, life-saving. Okay?
I was nervous because it was the swimming club, a lot of people that I knew, youngsters that were there, and as much as I'd been given a bit of a brief, my initial thoughts were that it was going to be on the pool side with everybody there, and then a secondary one with formal presentation, overhead, etc. So, in answer to your question, I was a bit nervous, as much as I knew what I was going to speak about, etc. Last year, I entered and swam in the 2023 Open Water Nationals. Unbeknown to me, halfway through the swim, about 3 kilometres, my heart decided to literally stop. I was dead in the water, truthfully. I'd had a cardiac arrest. There was no warning about this whatsoever. 2 weeks prior, I'd been racing in Spain, really hot degrees. Nothing had kicked this off. I was resuscitated by the Team England. I think that was about 33 minutes. They were giving me CPR. I was dead for 9, which meant that obviously there's no blood flowing through me, nothing going through to my head. Air ambulance came, they managed to get me going, and I went back to hospital and they gave me a double heart bypass. I'm on a mission now to inspire people to, get themselves checked, live a healthy lifestyle, and get back into
situations and sports that you actually enjoy. Even though you go through adversity, there is something there at the end of it. You've just got to take your time and stick at it. So, like Brian's just said, I'm living proof we can get back to normal. Thank you. I was prepared on the basis that it was going to be a presentation, a formal presentation with overhead projector. But that wasn't the case.
It's 10 out of 10 on the projector, and that's all it's got. So the HDMI should be pulling it out of the projector. This is where Plan B's come in handy.
It will work on my projector. Mine's got sound on the projector.
Has it?
So I can change it over.
What, we construct our little...
Thing again, do you want to do that? Do you want to try it? Do you know how quickly they can move?
Probably worth it, they're coming in.
It would be helpful.
Okay, right, we need to construct a little high table there to put that projector on using these blocks.
Right.
You always get curveballs when you're doing speaking work. I've been in situations where the tech has just died. It's one of those things you have to account for. I think Nick was pretty thrown by the fact that the tech didn't play ball the way he expected it to. The sound didn't work, his videos didn't work. If it's a nice to have and it doesn't work, so what? You know, I can tell the story anyway. But if you're relying on it, then it really kind of hits you in the solar plexus.
Julian, is your girl who looks after the projector and stuff, is she on it? Is she around?
No idea.
All right.
Oh, you mean,
yeah.
Right, okay, I'll go and see if there's somebody there. They're having trouble with it, yeah?
We just can't get any volume on it.
Right, okay. I'll send all the kids up first, then when they go, I'm hoping that all the parents will come. These are going to have to go into warm up quite soon.
Yeah. Can I have your 5 minutes, please? Thank you. Hi, I'm Nick Parks. You've probably just seen me outside. If not, well, here I am in human side of things. Right, so 12 months ago, I died. Not a good thing to happen to anybody. Left this planet. That picture there was just taken, I think it was June, July this time. The BBC got involved and thought that I was something special. I'm just the same as you guys. I'm just a swimmer. But what's different with me is I've got a bit of a mindset. Tell me I can't get through the wall, I'll show you how to get through it. Tell me that you can't swim 1500 fly, I'll swim 1500 fly. Tell me I can't do 10 kilometres out.
We'd set up and the people had tested the equipment and said, oh yeah, you know, it's functioning. And then for whatever reason, that curveball, as you say, came in. There was no sound. Well, we need sound to have the impact of the story. And it just wasn't functioning. So I very, very quickly had to think on my feet, as much as I got brief notes. Really had to sit back and think of, right, this needs to be a different delivery.
So the consultant sat down with me and said, you're so lucky where this happened, because most people, heart, wouldn't have coped with the stresses that I'd gone through. But here I am. And the shocking thing is, I think at the moment the statistics are one every week, people under 35. And then outside of hospital, the Yorkshire area, when I'm really concerned with at the moment, because it happened at Sheffield, 1 in 11 people will survive, and I was that one. So if you look around and you count 10 people there, and you think, wow, Nick was 1 out of 10 adults that survived. The numbers are absolutely scary. And because we're fit and looking after ourselves, there's lots of people out there aren't doing exercise, aren't eating healthily, and literally just aren't doing the right things. So thank you very much. You guys are going to go and have a swim. Help let my little story resonate with you. don't have nightmares or anything silly like that, but you can get back to fitness regardless of what injuries you unfortunately will come across at some point. Okay, thank you. That's done. That was spot on. Yeah, that was absolute.
This is always written outside.
Yeah.
I felt a little bit up in the air because there was no continuity, there was no finishing, being able to sit and talk and think, right, what did you think of this, etc. It was, they'd got a competition and they were out the room gone. So, yeah, the horses bolted.
How'd it go?
I think that was all right.
Yeah. Was it what you planned to say?
No, it wasn't.
I was going to ask how close it was to the plan.
It was disjointed because he threw me down there really. I initially we were just going to say, oh, you've just got a few minutes just introducing it, and just telling the audience what you're doing. I'm thinking, oh no, you're now going to ruin it because if I say this, they're not going to come upstairs. I don't know, it's fine. But it's still good to do that with kids. Let's just say kids, and there was a wide section of ages there.
Yeah. So I was listening to it, thinking, how close is this to his plan?
Yeah.
And I think in terms of what we can do with that, we can probably create some more logical links.
Yeah.
Through it,
so
that you lead the audience nice and logically, through a story, and probably because with a lot of these things, less is more. And what are the critical things? Now this is one of the skills of speaking. That you walk into a room, you think you got 45 minutes, and they say, oh, you got 25. I've lost count of the number of times that's happened, especially if you've got the last session of a day. So you're always thinking, okay, what do I want to leave them with? What are the really critical things? Less is more. 3 principles, usually, something like that. A handful of things that they're going to take away. And then you start working on, okay, so I'm going to leave them with these 3 principles. I'll do a little bit around this, a little bit around that, a little bit around that. That's nice and neat and done. And the other thing that's really important in any presentation of any kind is the start and the finish. So I want to start it in a way that's really going to connect and impact with them, and I want to finish it in a way that I really leave them with something. No plan survives contact with the enemy, as the saying goes. In any challenge, it makes sense to expect curveballs. They're almost guaranteed.
It wasn't long ago.
What was you thinking when they said you're on in 24 hours' time? What was your initial thought?
I've got to do my punchy one, and again, there was a bit of intrepidation because there was nothing concrete. When again, it wasn't until Kate come on board, and I didn't know what they'd got in here, so I thought, right, well, okay, I'm just gonna I'm just gonna have to talk on this and make sure that I can stand without anything and deliver. Because if I'm going to rely upon that, I'm sinking straight away.
My personal reflection was that it was done very, very quickly, and I don't think there was enough justice given to the severity of the situation, which is what we're trying to do. Raise the awareness of CPR and use of defib, but also how we as human beings could be hit, including children.
You were talking about keeping it light. You wanted something that would make it light, get people to laugh. Well, I'm wondering whether that might do it. And we could put some music behind that. We could put your "Let It Go."
All right. There we are.
So that is you, or is it Elsa, or is it you, or is it Elsa?
How did you do that?
Well, I didn't. I found an incredible lady by the name of Holly, who creates AI
not me,
imagery.
though, is it?
Yeah, you sent me the photos.
All right. Yeah.
So we use those photos that you sent, plus Elsa and the ice castle. And if you've ever wondered what you would look like as Elsa, there you go. So I will send you that on a PowerPoint slide, or we can download it now.
Yeah.
And whenever you want to build that into your deck, to create the humorous moment.
Thanks, Si.
You can use that and have the music and make a thing of it.
Dear.
So there you go.
That will certainly get some heads going. Won't it?
You think?
I'll
Might turn a few heads.
Yeah.
I think it was an interesting experience for Nick. Looking back on it, I wouldn't say his delivery was as good as it could have been. It's a learning curve. It's part of the learning process. And I think he learned an awful lot that night, which is really important. Honestly, on a 0 to 10 scale, his delivery probably was a 2 or a 3. But hey, that's good because you've got loads of headroom to grow into.
It would completely defeat me if I'm defined as a rugby player only.
It's time for Tony to turn words into action as he delivers his first talk. But can he overcome the mental barriers in his way?
And I think that's the scary part, if I'm really honest. Do I have the drive to put that hard work in?
Want to take part and achieve your big, hairy, scary goal? For more information about the next series of This Is Mental and how you could get involved, visit thisismental.tv.